Before we get to all the latest on the Broncos DC search featuring Rex Ryan and this former Broncos head coach, no, it's not Vic Fangio, make sure to hit that sub button. Help us grow this channel in the offseason. Plus, you won't miss a thing of all the Broncos offseason news and rumors. So help each other out here. Hit that sub button. You get free content, and we get to grow the channel a little bit more. But let's talk about the DC role here, because Sean Payton, an offensive coach, is not going to be the OC hire as important as the defensive coordinator hire will be here. And we got some interesting news, rumors, buzz, nuggets, all that good stuff on the Broncos defensive coordinator job last night, starting with this from Ian Rapoport, who tweeted out, "Comeback? Rex Ryan has emerged as a top candidate for the Broncos defensive coordinator job per me and Mike Garafolo. Ryan has been on ESPN after being fired by the Bills in 2016. If all goes well, he could be headed back in the NFL." So we got this from Rapoport about Rex Ryan. And then not long later, Mike Klis tweeted this out. Per source, Broncos have requested permission to interview Arizona defensive coordinator Vance Joseph. Wow, okay. For Denver DC position. Former Broncos head coach, 2017 to 18. Joseph is under contract with Arizona, but with Jonathan Gannon expected to run the defense as Arizona's head coach, Joseph could be made available. Now, we're going to break down these two targets, or candidates rather. Let's start with Rex Ryan, though. So Rex Ryan we talked about before on the show, because I think Rap Sheet is maybe just a little bit late to the party. Maybe he is really just reporting about the top candidacy part, but we got this over the weekend that Rex Ryan and the Broncos were, dancing with each other a little bit. Now, Ryan's career, long-time defensive coordinator for the Baltimore Ravens. He hasn't been a DC since 2008. So for what it's worth, it's been a while, but that's not really my hiccup with Rex Ryan. He was the Jets head coach from 2009 to 2014. Really strong start in New York, and then things just got a little stale and, crapped out. Finally, he was the Bills head coach for 2 seasons. I don't remember this. He got fired after week 16. So he didn't get to go 2 8-8 seasons, but that's what he did in year 1. And in year 2, it was 7-8. Now, when we talk about Rex Ryan's defense, his last 5 years as a head coach, because I think that's what's most relevant because it's more recent. Look at Rex Ryan's defense in points allowed. This is NFL rankings. 16th and 15th with the Bills. Now, that's pre-Josh Allen Bills, of course, so they weren't that good back then. So he had a middle of the pack, which I think is serviceable. But the Jets, they were firing early on in his career. They were one of the best defenses in years 1, 2, and 3 for him. But at the end, things just got out of hand. 20th, 19th, and 24th. 3 straight years with a bottom half defense in terms of points allowed. Now, yards allowed, because we know there's so many ways to measure a defense, looks like this. 19th, 2 straight seasons for Buffalo. He had some good times with the Jets late on. 6th in 2014, 11th in 2013, and 8th in 2012. I never have been a big fan of grading a defense by yards allowed, because I don't mind the bend don't break style of giving up chunks of yardage as long as you hold them in the red zone. But Rex Ryan's defenses have always been tough to play against. I think that's something he definitely brings to the table, is physicality and a good preparation and game plan week in and week out. You're never going to get a Rex Ryan defense that's just wildly unprepared. But when it comes to Rex Ryan, here's where I stand. And I've said it before, but I'll say it again. I've never just been a big Rex Ryan fan. I never thought he was all that great as a head coach. I think his record somewhat speaks for itself. I just think that he's just a big, lovable guy. So he's sort of gotten, away with, not away, but he's sort of gotten more credit than maybe his record should give him. Also, anyone that's been out of the NFL for 6 years has been hanging out on TV with ESPN. It's just too long of a break for me. I talked about this in the YouTube short I did yesterday when Rapoport tweeted that out, and I said, there's only 8 quarterbacks left, starting quarterbacks left from 2016. So he's seeing a lot of new quarterbacks. And as a defensive coordinator, job number 1 is stopping the opposing quarterback. And for him to be out of the league that long, I'm passing on it. I'm sure that he's going to, if he gets hired, he's going to be I should say, great defensive coordinator, but he's going to come in and be prepared. But also, I could see it going bad if we're like, why didn't we see this coming? He's been out of the league for so long. He has no idea how to game plan against the Joe Burrows, Mahomes, and Allens of the world, the guys who are running the NFL right now, because he never played against them once in his coaching career. Now, this is the pinned comment on today's show, so I want to hear from all of you watching right now. Should the Broncos hire Rex Ryan? Type Y for yes or N for no. If YouTube sticks an ad break when I'm done talking about it, take advantage of it and get your comments in down by the pinned comment. Now, next up, I want to talk about Vance Joseph, the former Broncos head coach. He apparently may be in the running for the defensive coordinator position. And I just want to take 30 seconds to go, if Vance Joseph comes back to Denver, ESPN must bring Sergio Dip back for the first game. We have to be able to relive this moment. If Vance Joseph is back in Denver, we need Sergio Dip on the call. ESPN, figure it out. I don't know where Sergio Dip is anymore. We all know what I'm talking about. Having the time of his life. We need Sergio Dip back if Vance Joseph is coming back to the Broncos sideline. So just make it happen. Write a blank check, ESPN, and I need Dip at Mile High ASAP the moment Vance Joseph is hired, and it's week 1. But let's break down Vance Joseph and what he's been up to since he left the Broncos in 2018 when he finished with an 11-21 record. He, of course, came in with a defensive background, and he was touted for his leadership skills, and it just didn't translate to wins ultimately. He's been the Cardinals defensive coordinator since he got canned from 2019 to 2022. And like Mike Klis pointed out, with a defensive head coach going to the desert in Jonathan Gannon, he might want to kind of start with his own defensive staff. It's not that Vance Joseph's been a bad DC, but we know how it operates. When an offense or a defensive coach comes into place, they usually like to bring their own respective coaches with them. Now, Arizona's points allowed under Vance Joseph since he took over in 2019. First year, not good, right? 28th. But look at the jump he had them go from 28th to 12th. And Arizona, I don't know about you guys. I don't know if you feel the same way. They are just never a team I ever think about defensively. Like, if I think about the worst defenses, if I think about good or great defenses, the Cardinals never come to mind. Not even one season, right? Not even like hey, remember that 2015 Cardinals? No, there's never a time where the Cardinals defense comes to the forefront, but he had them playing decently well. Now, this year, everything got out of control in Arizona. Kingsbury got fired. Kyler Murray tore his ACL. Everything, all the wheels fell off the wagon, so they plummeted down to 31st. I'm not going to be too harsh on that. When shit hits the fan, numbers start to go down the toilet. But we are talking about Vance Joseph. Could be a bit awkward to bring back a former head coach as a defensive coordinator. It almost maybe happened with Vic Fangio, but as many of you pointed out in the comments section, Wade Phillips all over again. Former Broncos head coach. He came back 2014, was it? So maybe it'd be weird. I don't know what that'd be like. I think that would sort of be like if you and your wife got divorced and then you went to live with your ex-wife and her new boyfriend. Like, that would have to be a bit odd, right? Like, you were the old head coach. That used to be your office, and now you're the assistant there. But if he's up for it, it'd be a good spot, I think, right? I think this defense, if you're just looking at it from a neutral lens here, Patrick Surtain, Justin Simmons, I'll say Bradley Chubb, Randy Gregory when he's healthy. Like, there are some good pieces, don't get me wrong. So he could look at it as the next best opportunity if he is out in Arizona. Now, let's run through the reported candidates that are still on the table, it appears. Sean Desai, who was the Bears DC back in 2021, excuse me. And he was in Seattle this past season as an associate head coach and defensive coach. Rex Ryan, who's been hanging out on ESPN, giving out bad takes for 6 years. And Vance Joseph, who has been with the Cardinals the last 4 seasons. So pick a DC. Of those 3 we just looked at right there, if you had to pick one, who would it be? I lean Sean Desai. I thought Sean Desai had a good 1 season with the Bears as a defensive coordinator. He ultimately got outed because a new regime came in when Matt Nagy got fired and he was not going to be held over. But ultimately, I think Sean Desai is the most ready. Vance Joseph, I think, is right behind. I'd be fine either way, but Joseph just seems too much of a long shot for him to come back so soon after getting fired. So, shame on me. I wanted to do this thing for the end of the video starting 2 days ago of naming a free agent the Broncos could sign. And I already forgot one day in, which was yesterday. So I'm back on track, though. Marcus Davenport. Why Marcus Davenport? Well, former first-round pick for the New Orleans Saints when Sean Payton was the head coach. So maybe Payton has some sort of affinity towards him. Now, he could be gotten for cheap. If Draymond Jones leaves in free agency, Denver's going to need to bring in another pass rusher. Because who do you have that you can reliably count on? It can't be Randy Gregory to play 17 games. So that leaves you with Baron Browning, who's had some injuries from time to time, and Jonathan Cooper. Now, Davenport's had his fair share of injuries and more, but he could be viewed as a cheap target that maybe just needs a change of scenery, and if he starts to stay healthy, he can start giving you that first-round production for way less than maybe you can get from other players on the open market. So Marcus Davenport, his ties to Sean Payton make him a free agent to watch for. I appreciate everyone who took time out of their day and made us a part of your day. We're going to sign off and see you guys tomorrow with more Broncos news and rumors.